What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football. I'm your host and producer, Logan Landers, and join me here on this Tuesday, doing a little bit earlier this week, is my guy, Jay McMinn, of course, from the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. And Jay, first off, how you doing, my friend? I know it was a rough weekend with Texas and whatnot, but we're turning our attention now to interstate rivals here in Kansas, who's coming into this game trying to get an upset here, 2-5 on the year. They picked up their second win against Houston this past weekend, going up against the 6-1, the number 16th ranked Kansas State Wildcats, who are winners of 3 in a row. Just got a blowout win against West Virginia. So how you doing, my friend? And let's get some analysis on this upcoming game this weekend.
Yeah, I'm still in recovery from that Texas game, Logan. So if I don't seem exuberantly happy right now, just understand that
I understand. Okay. I understand. It's all right.
But yeah, let's talk about this 2-5 Kansas versus 6-1 Kansas State, who is now ranked at number 16 right now. So they're getting ready to start knocking on the door of these playoffs. They keep going the way they're going. You can watch that game on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock if you want to watch it. But yeah, here's the thing, right? So for Kansas, they really got to protect that ball. That would be my key number one to this game is Kansas has to protect the damn ball. Daniels, the reason why Daniels was 103 of 182 pass completions and for about 1,300 yards. But the problem with him is he has 10 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. I mean, it's almost the same amount of interceptions as he does or turnovers he does points. So, they really got to really do a good job protecting it. And I will tell you, I think the nightmare for him is going to be Kansas State's cornerback, Kobe Bryant. I hope CB is it Kobe? Did I say that name right? It's spelled really weird, but I hope I'm saying it right. Kobe Bryant. As he comes off a career versus U of H. Now, granted, this is U of H, okay, and this is U of H just obviously joined the Big 12, but
yep.
Yeah, he had 3 interceptions, or he caught 3 interceptions against U of H, and that could be detrimental to Kansas Daniels if he's not careful. I think he's probably going to wind up throwing the opposite side of the field. I don't think he's going to mess with Bryant if he's doing his game film. But then you look at Johnson on the flip side at Kansas State, and he's completed 111 passes out of 178, which is a damn good completion percentage. And he's got 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. So Kansas State really does own them in the air. Even the wide receivers, Grimm for Kansas is at 363 yards at 4 touchdowns, and Brown is at 420 and 3 touchdowns. The difference is that Grimm had 34 catches to get 363, and Brown only had 25 to get more yards at 420. So clearly Brown, with less catches, is a huge deep ball threat in this one. And then, of course, you look at the running backs, right? You got Neal at 117 carries at 692 and 7 touchdowns. And then Giddens has 127 carries at 843. So he's obviously demonstrating that he's a better runner than Neal is, and he only has 4 touchdowns. So Neal does have him on the touchdowns. But yeah, Kansas State, their only loss is to BYU. Mind you, that's a ranked team. They took them out 38-9. The Wildcats haven't lost to the Jayhawks, Logan, since 2008. Wow. I'm just trying to tell you, Kansas State, the Wildcats they haven't lost. I mean, think about that. They haven't lost since 2008 to this team. So already, the Jayhawks are coming in it behind the 8 ball. And then, of course, the Wildcats are coming off probably this is the best start in the Chris Kleiman era. So I really expect Kansas State to really take this game pretty well. Avery Johnson is coming off his best passing game. Like I said, 298 and 3 touchdowns, like you said, against West Virginia. And he's actually on pace to break the Kansas touchdown record of 24. So I do expect him to break it. He's at 14 now. He needs 10 more, and he'll at least tie it. 11 more, he'll actually get the record at Kansas. So that's just let you know how he's doing. Giddens is 3rd in the Big 12 right now in all-purpose yards, Logan. So these guys they got a full deck on that offense, and Kansas is really going to have their hands full on the defensive end. And I don't know if they're going to have enough firepower to get the job done. Kansas needs to beat Kansas State in order to keep its bowl bid or bowl dreams alive, right? So this is a big game for Kansas. Really is a turning point. Daniels had a great game against U of H, like I said earlier, 16 of 21, 247 and 3. And then he rushed for a touchdown. So he had a really good game against U of H. I expect to see more of that against this Kansas defense. And to round it up, Neal is 73 yards shy of becoming Kansas all-time leading rusher. So a lot of big things are going on in that game. But I fully expect Kansas State to blow out Kansas, and I think it's going to be about a 10-point difference. I think about 20. I'll say 21-point difference. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go 35-7 in favor. And I think that's 28-point. But anyway, 35-7 in favor of Kansas State. Logan.
It's good that Kansas is, they're coming off a win, right? So they're getting some momentum. It is their second win of the year only, but they got the good win over Houston. They needed that. We've talked about Jalen Daniels a little bit, and he's got some good potential, right? But like you said, if he could just cut down on the turnovers, that will give Kansas a better shot at pulling off this upset. He hasn't sacked much, only 7 times on the season. Credit to his O-line and for him for being elusive, but he has to have a clean game if they want to win. You mentioned Neal, really solid running back, 5.9 yard per average in terms of rushing and 7 touchdowns. I think he very well could break that school record, as you were just mentioning. Now, looking at the rest of this team, they do have some solid, receivers. But it's kind of more so not like a number one guy because, yes, Grimm is leading the team in receptions and yards, but it's not by too terribly much. You got Lawrence Arnold out there, Quentin Skinner. Neal could also get it done catching-wise also as kind of a dual threat running back, receiver back combo. But I think where Kansas wins this game, if they were to pull off an upset, Jay, is they have to keep that defense on point. Defense-wise, for this team, they are able to get some disruption going, Jay. As a team, they have 16 sacks, 4 of those coming from J.B. Brown. But what I really want to circle on everyone's scorecards and whatnot is they have 10 interceptions on the year. That is great to hear if you're a Kansas Jayhawks fan. That gives you a little bit of hope coming into this matchup with Kansas State. So for me, if Kansas wants to win this one, it's easy. Limit turnovers, play a clean game, and you have to have the defense getting turnovers or forcing a lot of 4 and outs, 3 and outs, whatever you want to call it. Now for Kansas State, as you said, they're in a sense playing with house money in this Governor's Cup game. Of course, we know this is a long-standing game between these two rivals. And when you look at Kansas State, 6-1 on the year, currently 3rd in the Big 12, number 16 in the nation. They have Avery Johnson as their starting quarterback, who's got 14 touchdowns, only 5 picks, has been sacked 8 times. Overall, has had a very productive season, just over 1,400 yards on the year for that young man. 62% completion percentage as well, not too bad. But I think where this team really gets it going is, as you mentioned, the young man, the running back, DJ Giddens, 127 carries, 843, a 6.6 average, Jay. Only has 4 touchdowns, but he is the engine, right? He's the one that gets them going, that can extend drives, that can get you a first down if you need to, that can punch it in the end zone. This is where this team really excels, is that 1-2 punch of if Johnson's having a good game, you keep feeding him. If Giddens is doing a little bit better, you can give him the rock also. And Kansas State, that's why they've been able to win all these games so far, currently at 6-1, is because of those 2 guys really helping out. And then kind of in a sense with Kansas in terms of receiving wise, when you look at this team, it's J.C. Brown leading the team in catches at 25 only. But, I mean, you have Keegan Johnson behind him with 17, and then Giddens has 11. So there's not a whole lot of major weapons in terms of receiving-wise. They don't really utilize their tight ends much. And Braden Lofton, he's only got 7 catches on the year for 93 yards. That's more so just, a red zone type of tight end right there. So that's where Kansas needs to just kind of lock in on certain receivers, whether it be on the team like Brown or Johnson, or if Giddens is in the backfield, that's where they can really get some work in. Now, looking at the defense of Kansas State, they're not too bad either. They have 20 sacks on the year. Top guy in that category being, of course, Brendan Mott, who's leading the way with 7 on the year. Jay, 7 sacks in 7 games that they've played. So not too bad at all for that young man. They're also able to get some work in the secondary as well. They have 7 interceptions, not bad at all. So I think overall, when I look at these two teams, I am going to give the edge to Kansas State. I think they have a really good team in general. Of course, you have guys like Austin Romaine as well, really good linebacker. But I think the play of Johnson and Giddens in that quarterback running back combo, that'll do it for them. Kansas State has looked great this year. I expect them to continue, and I think they'll get the win this upcoming weekend. Jay, I'll go final score with you this one, my friend. I'll go final score. I'll go Kansas State putting up a big 30, and I'll have Kansas going with 10. So 20-point win in this one, but overall I think that Kansas State will run away with it and continue their hopeful emergence getting into that top 12. They're just on the outside looking in, but if they can keep winning the games they're supposed to win, that will help out their cause nonetheless. Well, Jay, I appreciate you, my friend, coming on the show talking about Kansas versus Kansas State. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, drop a comment who's going to win in this ballgame. We want to know Facebook and YouTube, main two platforms, but you can also go check us out as well. Thanks to the Believe Podcast Network on all major podcast streaming platforms. Also, go check out what me and Jay are doing over at the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. The LinkTree is in the description. You can see all the work we got over there. A bunch of great shows as well. Well, until next time, we'll talk to you guys again later on another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio.